Another huge game for Sporting KC2 and an absolute must-win for Minnesota United 2. Mercy Victory Field at Swope Park Village is the scene of a matchup between two teams with exciting styles who also have conceded plenty of goals and who've already played two wild games against each other this year. It's match week 28 of MLS NEXT Pro, and it is live. I'm Donnie Barnes. It's been a cool, partly cloudy day in the greater Kansas City area as SKC2 try to move back into that top 8 and a potential playoff spot. There you see the Western Conference table. SKC2 currently with a match in hand on Timbers 2 and Whitecaps FC2. They could pass Timbers 2 if they take even 1 point today because they have the tiebreaker, which is that primary tiebreaker being total number of wins on the year. But of course they want to take all three. Two tough games left after today against North Texas SC and LAFC2. So important from their standpoint to take three today, but Minnesota United, they have to take all 3 points today if they're going to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. They've improved lately, but it's looking like it might be too little too late, and that would be confirmed if they do anything other than win in regulation here today. So this cool, cloudy day in the Kansas City area sees the regular season winding down. We've had lots of games already this weekend. This is the Eastern Conference table, of course. A big win earlier this afternoon for Carolina Core FC. They move up to 40 points as they defeated Crew 2 by 2-0. So they're just a point out of a playoff place behind Fire FC2, who of course do have that game in hand. Crown Legacy FC 2 points above the line, as are Crew 2, whose defeat today does leave them still vulnerable to being caught over these final two matches. So it is a fascinating playoff race. You see Chattanooga FC right in that mix as well, even though they're currently in 10th. So really interesting last few weeks of this regular season in MLS NEXT Pro. It is all to play for, and can't wait to see how it plays out. And this match here today will have a lot to do with who makes the playoffs in that Western Conference. Sporting KC2 very much hoping to be one of those 8 teams. And they've had an up and down year after they were in that top half of the table last year, finished 3rd in the regular season. And this year it's been more of a struggle, but both these teams have been improving lately. And here's the starting 11 for the home side, Sporting KC2, coached of course by Benny Feilhaber. They have Jacob Molinaro back in goal. This will be his 9th appearance of the year. He wasn't expected to start earlier this week. They thought he might be up to the first team, but he is back in between the sticks today. Played well last week in that win at Rapids 2. Visconti, Cristiano, Rindov, and Klein across the back. Cameron Habibullah, they're hoping to get him going again over these last 3 games. Meji Alexandre scored that stoppage time winner for them to beat Rapids 2 last weekend. Such a huge goal for SKC2 that at that moment got them back above the playoff line. They've since slipped to 9th as other teams have gained points earlier this week. Meanwhile, MNUFC2 line up thusly with Alex Smurr between the posts. It is quite an experienced back line. They've gotten a lot of first-team experience playing down with the second team lately. Marcanic, Padelford, Bacharach, and Komet across the back line. That's a lot more experience at the back than they've often had this year. Shashua, O'Driscoll, and Martinez across the middle with Masanvi, Nieves, and Darius Randall, who's looked very lively in recent weeks. Head coach Jeremy Hall told me this week he, of course, was an MLS Next All-Star at the mid-season point, so that's not too surprising that he's been playing well, a guy with a ton of promise. And both these teams have some electric players in the attack. That's why when they've met earlier this year, we mentioned 2 real barn-burning games. 4-1, SKC2 took that opening meeting back in late April. And then in early June, a game where Minnesota United had the lead for much of the match, but SKC2 came back late for a 4-3 victory. So 2 wins for Sporting KC2 in this series this season. And what will we see here today? Temperatures have been in the low 60s today. You see some people bundled up across the way in those stands on the far side. Sporting KC will be in their powder blues with the navy blue stripes. MNUFC2 in the black today. It'll be Sporting KC2 to get us underway. They'll attack from left to right in this first half. Our center referee is Jose Lara, as he checks his watch and blows the opening whistle, and we are in motion in Kansas City. SKC2 would go back above the playoff line with even a point today. With two tough ones against North Texas and LAFC looming in their final two matches after this one, they are desperate to take as many as possible here. Minnesota United trying to continue their recent improvement and keep their playoff hopes alive for at least a few more days. Early possession out of the back for Sporting KC2. Both these teams like to play out of the back as much as possible, although they've both perhaps become a bit more pragmatic in recent weeks. So that goes out into touch for a Minnesota United throw. See the situation for SKC2. 2 wins, 4 defeats over their last 6, but that big win last week, and even before that win last week, Benny Feilhaber said that he felt his team was playing much better. They just hadn't necessarily gotten the results to prove it. A game last week that looked like it was headed for a penalty shootout and a maximum perhaps of 2 points, but that very late goal from Meji Alexandre meant all 3 for SKC2 as they give away a free kick here, with Cameron Habibullah whistled for the first foul of the afternoon. So how crucial will that winner by Alexandre prove to be in a couple weeks at the end of the regular season? We will find out, and these last 3 games obviously will determine that starting today. I'm Donnie Barnes, glad to have you along on this Sunday afternoon from the Kansas City area. Good ball forward out of the back for Minnesota United. And another whistle stops play in the second minute. Sporting KC2 keeping that clean sheet last week, so they're still on 49 goals conceded for the year. That's now 3rd most in the league. Minnesota United have given up a league high 63 on the season. That is 13 more goals conceded than anyone else in MLS Next Pro this year. But again, their back line has gotten a lot more experienced in recent weeks. And some first team members playing with the second team, so two sides who are, I think, much better now than their respective records might show. Minnesota United looking to press, but they give away a free kick. Less than 3 minutes in, two sides feeling each other out early on. Sporting KC2 played Minnesota United at home in late April. That was at Rock Chalk Park over in Lawrence, Kansas. Home ground of the Kansas Jayhawks college soccer program, of course. Minnesota United pressing well in these early exchanges, looking to turn that into an opportunity. It rolled away from Loic Massanvi. And SKC2 looking to counter right down the middle, and it's Habibullah trying to streak away. Habibullah against that back line. He tumbles over. Referee sees nothing wrong with that. Now gives the foul the other way as Minnesota United will have a free kick out of their own half. Cameron Habibullah for a moment was able to ghost between the defenders there. A guy who started this year on fire. He scored 2 hat tricks by the end of April. The second hat trick came against Minnesota United in that aforementioned 4-1 victory. That put him on 7 goals already for the year at the end of April. As you see a player down now for Sporting KC, so play stopped for the moment. So we'll wait to confirm who this is, and obviously some concern. I'm told this is Mason Visconti who has gone down. Visconti from nearby Lee's Summit, Missouri. He came out of the University of Kentucky. Well, it happened behind the play, well off the ball, so we're not sure exactly what caused this. As you can see, Visconti's been down for a couple minutes now. And stretcher is out. Difficult way for this match to start, just a few minutes in. And an apparent injury to Mason Visconti that is obviously increasingly concerning the longer this goes on. See, it appears that they're stabilizing his neck area. Obviously, I'm not a doctor or medical professional, so I hesitate to speculate at all, but they're certainly taking every precaution possible. Let's see if we can see what may have happened. Oh, it just goes down heavily, doesn't he? Hits the ground hard. And looked like he didn't really have time to brace himself much. Mason Visconti, 24 years old. This is his 11th appearance of the season for Sporting KC2. Being told the paramedics are coming in now. We've seen Visconti moving his arms and hands throughout this. You see that there. So that at least would appear to be a positive sign, certainly. Appeared on the one replay that we saw that the impact came from behind, and I think it surprised him. Probably why he wasn't able to put his hands out and brace himself much as he hit the ground. Here's another look at it as Visconti receives the ball here. He doesn't see the pressure coming from behind, understandably. It just goes over with a lot of force toward that turf. So Of course, all of our thoughts and prayers with Mason Visconti. And again, it's good to see him moving his hands and arms at least. And we'll certainly hope that that isn't as serious as it might appear to be. And certainly good that the medical professionals have taken every precaution. Sebastian Cruz is getting ready to come on in Visconti's place, so an early substitution needed, of course, for Sporting KC too. And an interesting mental challenge for all of these players now, on both sides, but especially for SKC2. When you see a teammate go down like that just 3 minutes into an important match, you have the whole game left, and you have to rally yourself mentally. Focus on the task at hand while you think of and hope the best for your teammate. Sebastian Cruz out of Cal State Fullerton after coming up through the Sporting KC Academy. Will be on certainly much sooner than he would have expected today.
Leading the game, number 40, Mason Visconti. He's replaced by number 98, Sebastian Cruz.
So about a 9-minute delay, which is totally understandable under the circumstances, of course. And now back in motion. And this will be a throw for Minnesota United too. So difficult, I'm sure, for all these players. You get keyed up to play all day, all afternoon. You start the match, there's lots of energy both ways, and then all of a sudden all the air comes out of the balloon for almost 10 minutes. But here they go again. Minnesota United pulled to the penalty spot, and a big save early on, and then it's cleared off the doorstep and swiped out into touch. And so from the restart, Minnesota United 2, right to the front foot. Came down this left channel, and Loic Massanvi able to cut inside toward the end line and pull it back into the path of Sam Shashua. Now the subsequent corner toward the back post comes to the top of the area and rolls all the way through. And a simple take this time for Jacob Molinaro. That first save he made, though, at his near post was excellent and much needed from Sporting KC too. Now free kick for the home side. You see, Cameron Habibullah does lead the team in goals. We were just starting to talk about that when the injury occurred to Mason Visconti. Benny Feilhaber spoke this week about how they really need to get Habibullah going again. 7 goals in his first 7 games this year, including those 2 hat tricks. And he's had some tough going since then, as the summer has worn on. SKC2 trying to cause a turnover there, but they're called for the foul instead. So Habibullah, after 7 in his first 7, didn't score in the following 10. He had 1 goal in 14 games before scoring twice against Whitecaps 2 on the 31st of August. So now 3 goals in his last 17. This is chested down by Massanvi. Turning inside Shashua, and he's tugged back and fouled, and this will be the first card of the afternoon.
A yellow card caution is Sporting Kansas City, number 88,
Shane Donovan with the drag back right there. And that's an easy decision for referee Jose Lara. So the first caution of the day is Donovan in the 15th minute. Rory O'Driscoll, who scored 5 goals this year, takes the free kick short for Shashua, who's been very involved early on. Now on this left side, it's Mark Hannock trying to pull it back in the direction of O'Driscoll. Now tracks it down, and some good skill. Couple flicks keep this play alive for Enrique Nieves. Massanvi now. And O'Driscoll, that's another good turn, and he wins another foul. bright moments from Rory O'Driscoll. He's a Minneapolis native. Made his MLS debut back in late June against Portland Timbers. Shashua gets the return from Masanvi, and down the line the flag is up for offside. So perhaps understandably, Minnesota United 2 looking much brighter since that restart. Sporting KC 2 still trying to find their rhythm and perhaps their mentality after that injury to their teammate. Here goes O'Driscoll again, causing more danger. Touch got away from him though. This is chested down by Habibullah, who now can run. Habibullah accelerating away from one. Habibullah looks to thread it through. And now Avila. Avila with Habibullah making the run. Didn't use him and then is shouldered off the ball, but back onto it. And Avila strikes. It's blocked out. First corner of the match. And it goes to SKC2. I think Habibullah was frustrated that Avila didn't return it to him initially. Avila did well in the ends. Looked like the chance had gone and he'd been shouldered off the ball, but he persisted to get it right back and creates this first set piece opportunity of the day for the home side. Danny Flores over this corner. Flores toward the back post. Pretty good delivery. Flicked away though by Hugo Bacharach, and then the follow-up is sent wide. Goal kick for Minnesota United 2. That'll be encouraging though for Sporting KC 2. That last passage of play, seeing Habibullah involved. Avila getting into the game from an attacking standpoint. Benny Feilhaber did say, I can relate to a lot of the stuff that Habibullah is going through because I played a similar position. Feilhaber, of course, a very accomplished goal scorer in his playing days for Sporting KC and the U.S. men's national team. He said sometimes you got to be a facilitator. Feilhaber said, I was never a big dribbler, so for me it was trying to find good spots on the field, finding a pass early on to open up the game. As this is over the top and chested down by Avila, and the flag has stayed down. Avila, and now play is whistled down. It's going to be a foul and a free kick on the edge of the area and a yellow card as well. So an attacking free kick for Sporting KC2 just outside the 18.
Minnesota number 2, Devin Padelford.
Devin Padelford shown the yellow card. First caution of the day for the visitors. And let's see it again. Just a simple ball over the top that caught that back line up the pitch, and Padelford, you can see there he disagrees with the decision in the card. Tough to see from that angle exactly how much holding and grabbing there was. Interesting free kick. Many free kick takers would tell you this is a little bit closer than they'd actually prefer, but it is Habibullah. It looks like he'll have a crack at it. Difficult to get it up and down from this distance. See Minnesota United lining up 5 in that main wall. And it is Habibullah who scores! He went around the wall, and Habibullah breaks through. They needed his goals down the stretch, and he has a big one today. And he puts SKC2 in front in the 20th minute. He didn't need to get it up and down. He just went around. Questions to be asked, perhaps, on the placement of that wall for Minnesota United 2. That's not Habibullah's fault. He still had to place it perfectly, and he kissed it off the inside of that left post. Goal number 11 on the season for Cameron Habibullah. Well, it's a matchup that, as we detailed, has delivered goals in its previous 2 iterations this year. 12 of them in total in their first 2 meetings. And we have one today, less than 20 minutes in. First half that will see some significant stoppage time at the end of it, you would think, because of that lengthy injury. So really about 12 minutes worth of game time, if that, before Habibullah strikes with his 11th of the year. Penny Feilhaber's exact words this week were, these last 3 games will need him to be at a high level, and if we do get to the playoffs, we're going to lean on him heavily. He has already delivered a big moment today. And if you're just joining us, Sporting KC with a win would elevate themselves back into that playoff spot, back into 8th place. In fact, if they take all 3 points in regulation today, they would go above Whitecaps FC2 into 7th place. Whitecaps 2 would have a game in hand. Meji Alexandre mentioned his stoppage time winner late in last Sunday's match at Rapids 2. Guy who has grown and improved so much this season. Here's Avila threading it through. Big chance for a second goal. Around the keeper. It is a second goal. It's Maloon Goumballe. And Sporting KC 2. A blistering sequence. They double their lead.
Sporting Kansas City goal scored by Maloon Goumballe.
Goumballe, one of the heartbeats of this team. It starts with a good work from Avila, and what a great ball through. And Goumballe, how cool is this? Takes it around Alex Smur, slots it home. 2 goals in 3 minutes for Sporting Kansas City. Free kick here for Minnesota United too. Have to be a little stunned because they'd started the game pretty brightly and they'd had the better half chances, you could say, over the opening 18 minutes or so. This is played toward the end line, stays in play, and it's going to be a Minnesota United throw. Remember, the Loons had that opportunity prior to conceding these 2 goals. They had that shot that Jacob Molinaro turned away at that near post with a really good save. Along the end line, wriggling free from an angle, trying to work it into the middle. Just wouldn't sit down for an actual shot for anybody in black. Darius Randall was involved, so was Masanvi. This goes out of play for a Loons throw. Unfortunately for Minnesota United, this has been a recurring theme at times this year. Spells of good play, promising play, but then riddled with some fairly soft goals that they've conceded. That was something Jeremy Hall acknowledged this week. As you see, Goumballe now in double figures for the year with 10 goals. Minnesota United now 65 goals conceded on the year. That is, again, by far the most in Next Pro this season. Makes for fun games as a neutral. And they are certainly very capable of turning this around. Came back late last week at St. Louis City 2. Eventually won that game in a shootout to earn 2 points after a 2-2 tie through 90 minutes. Their equalizer came in the 86th. Goumballe now taken off him and put off him 20 minutes to go in the first half, plus, again, what will be a lengthy amount of stoppage time. Goals from Habibullah and Goumballe, their two leading scorers, have them in front. This portion of the match is brought to you by Central Bank, official jersey front partner of SKC2 and community banking partner of Sporting KC. Sporting KC knocking it around now, looking comfortable, and they have another free kick. Sporting KC. Nifty work from Avila as they go in search of a third goal. It would really put them in command. Edge of the area, onto his right foot, having a crack from distance, and it thumps off the inboards. They continue to look very fluid and smooth in transition every time they get forward, Sporting KC2. Continues to be just a bit too easy, I think, from Minnesota United's perspective. This portion of the match is brought to you by Children's Mercy Hospital of Kansas City, official healthcare partner of Sporting KC. Bouncing ball dealt with by Padelford. He's been with the Minnesota United organization since 2022. He's had over 20 MLS appearances with the first team. Another free kick given against the Loons here. Padelford, the homegrown player. Given straight to Anthony Marcanic. He's made over 40 MLS appearances with Colorado Rapids and St. Louis City. Shouts for a foul. Advantage played here as it's given to Habibullah, and Habibullah on the charge. Cameron Habibullah trying to slip in Goumballe. Return to Habibullah, who strikes it low, but a simple save for Alex Smurr. More good interplay, though, from Sporting KC, too. Really look in rhythm now. In particular, that front three of Avila and Goumballe, with Habibullah coming from that attacking midfield spot. Alexandre on that right side of the attack. See the early possession numbers, 55% in Sporting KC's favor. Expected goals heavily in SKC's favor as well, although they're outperforming theirs. As they play out from the back here, Minnesota United try to exert some pressure. They will earn a throw by that halfway line. We'll look at Jeremy Hall there, their head coach. He was born in Tampa. This is a free kick for the visitors. Jeremy Hall played internationally for Puerto Rico and for 5 MLS clubs. Played for New York Red Bulls, Portland Timbers, FC Dallas, Toronto FC, and New England. He was an assistant coach for Minnesota United the last 2 years. Elevated to this head coach role with MNUFC2 this season. Back to Jacob Molinaro, who threw about a half an hour today. Is having a similar game to what he experienced last week in Colorado. So this rolls out for a SKC throw. Molinaro last week didn't have a ton to do, but did it very well when called upon. Made a couple crucial saves to keep that game at 0-0. A couple other instances where he had to read danger and come rushing off his line and outside his penalty area to sweep up. Benny Feilhaber was very complimentary of his performance in that game when I spoke to him this week. So we eclipse the 30-minute mark. Here goes Meji Alexandre. Dispossessed by Masanvi. It's good work by Alexandre, though, just to force Masanvi to check up a bit. Stop him from rushing the other direction on the counter. This portion of the match brought to you by Price Chopper, official grocery partner of Sporting KC. Sporting KC focusing more in recent weeks on keeping possession like this instead of always getting themselves vertical, as this is an offside flag against Goumballe. Feilhaber's been talking the last couple weeks about how they've tweaked their system a bit over the last month to try to keep more possession. This is cycled back to Molinaro. And calmly plays it out from danger. Minnesota United able to win that. But miscommunication there, and that rolls harmlessly out for a goal kick. We talked about this last week when SKC2 played at Colorado Rapids 2. Now they've often switched to more of a back three recently, building out with 3 center backs. It's given them more options when playing out from the back, better angles, Benny Feilhaber feels, making it tougher for teams to press them effectively. I've seen Minnesota United been able to cause a couple turnovers in these opening 30 minutes plus, but not as many as I think they would prefer. Press has not caused SKC2 as many issues as they'd like, at least not yet. It's good work at close quarters, though, by Matoush Komet. He was a recent signee by Minnesota United during the end of this summer transfer window. From Slovakia, signing a first-team contract. Playing it back to his keeper, Alex Smir. He's also on a first-team contract, which he signed just this June. He's been with Minnesota United, too, since 2022. Went out on loan for a bit. Free kick for Sporting KC. See a very humid day in the Kansas City area. Not unusual for this time of year. Abibula tussling there with Randall. Randall winning that duel. Hugo Bacharach puts that into touch. Bacharach was the 9th overall pick in this year's MLS Super Draft out of the University of Indiana. Big coming together there with Avila. Whistle blows. Yellow card shown.
Number 99, Beto Avila.
So Avila into the book. 3rd player caution today. 2nd for Sporting KC for that contact. Here's your scoring summary. goals 3 minutes apart. Habibullah in the 20th from a direct free kick that bamboozled the Minnesota United wall. Then Malun Goumballe just 3 minutes later rounding the keeper after being played in. Sporting KC in a strong position just like that. It's a good ball out from Molinaro. Allows his team to possess and build, which they do with Shane Donovan. And then Meji Alexandre. He's going to run at Anthony Markanek and tries to skip around him. Referee wags his finger and waves play on. Nothing in that, felt Jose Lara. And here go Minnesota United the other direction. And it's Aiden Martinez going on and laying it off from Masanvi, and it's blocked unwittingly. And play is stopped. Carson Klein was in the way. I think that whacked off the back of his head. And that's why Jose Lara immediately blew the whistle. Well, unfortunate for both Minnesota United and for Carson Klein. It was one of Minnesota United's more promising attacks in this first half. See, Klein appears to be nodding that he's all right. Has to go off for at least a moment. Loic Masanvi has burst into the attack a few times in this first half. A guy that Minnesota United want to get involved more. Another player who has made MLS appearances this year and also just signed a first-team contract in August. Been some debate over where this ball should be dropped. It is going to be dropped for Minnesota United. Anthony Markanek takes it. We're back underway. Delford along for Shashua. And then Masanvi. Shashua making the run toward the end line. Now Padelford. Shashua. One-on-one with Alexandre. Alexandre doing well not to commit a foul. Decent spell for Minnesota United. They would love to drag one back before halftime, of course. Bacharach. He made his debut in MLS in April, but unfortunately tore his meniscus. He's been working back since. Minnesota United pressing and win it right back. Edge of the area. Masanvi. Shashua. There's a player out wide in tons of space and finds him now. That's Markanek, whose cross was then blocked as Alexandre got all the way out. That space closed quickly thanks to Meji Alexandre. It is a corner for Minnesota United, their first of this game. Take that back, it'll be their second. There was that early save that Jacob Molinaro made at his near post. So corner number 2 for the visitors. In swinging ball. Solid header partially away, then struck from distance into a wall of bodies. 40 minutes on the clock. Habibullah and Goumballe have Sporting KC2 ahead by 2. Slightly cruel irony, I guess, that the Loons have been scored on by Malone Goumballe. That's a great raking ball all the way across the back line to find that player out on the right. It is Randall, repelled initially by Avila. Now O'Driscoll. Marcanic. Shashua. Shashua shoots, blocked down and cleared away. And good spell from Minnesota United. Can they make it count? Recycled quickly from Asanvi. Alexandre right on him again. Shashua trying to turn inside. He was tugged, and it is a free kick. Shashua wanting to take it right away. Another good switch out to that right side. Randall, first touch wasn't his best. That's tremendous. From Carson Klein. Habibullah. Donovan and Alexandre. Sporting KC have been so dangerous in these transitions in this first half. This time Minnesota United able to get back into position pretty well. Here's Habibullah. Flores. Habibullah. Looking for space to shoot. Avila. Donovan. And Carson Klein. Almost everybody in light blue touching the ball during this sequence. Donovan. Feinted right. Pulled it back left. So now it's Sporting KC's turn to possess and make Minnesota United chase for a while. Finally, they're dispossessed. Now Minnesota United look to run on the counter. Padelford. Masanvi. Left that a little short for Padelford. As KC claiming that throw, they don't get it. Into the final 2 minutes of the 45, but again, there would figure to be at least 8 minutes or so of stoppage time. Marcanic launches the long throw into the box toward that end line area. Flicked out toward the end line and bounces across. This will be a corner. O'Driscoll taken away by Habibullah. Good defensive work from Cameron Habibullah. And then clipped along gorgeously into the run of Meji Alexandre. Alexandre deflected. It's going to fall. Opportunity for a third goal, and it's blasted over the bar. It was deflected. It'll be a corner. Malone Goumballe looking for his second of the half. Last-ditch block from Matoush Komet. After miscommunication there, Komet sliding when his goalkeeper had that cross covered, and it almost led to another goal against. Well, Smur, you could see he was coming out to try to claim that cross and looked like he had the angle on it. Matoush Komet didn't hear him, didn't see him. Almost a costly mix-up. They still have to defend this subsequent corner. Danny Flores swings it out and long. First header won by SKC. Bouncing around in the area. Not great for Minnesota United. Clipped back into the mix, but that's simple for Smur, and now play is stopped with another Sporting KC player down.
10 minutes of added time.
10 additional minutes indicated, which is not surprising at all. Let's see what happened here at the tail end of this play. Again, it's just the fall after winning that initial header. Again, it's not great from Minnesota United's standpoint. You never want to let the ball bounce multiple times in your own penalty area. It was a Vila. Fell heavily. One other game in progress right now as we see Avila back up. And Smur punts it long. But that other game that's in progress right now in Next Pro, consequential, especially for Sporting KC, as this foul goes in their favor. Houston Dynamo 2, Dynamo Dos with a 1-0 advantage over Rapids 2. They're just entering first half stoppage time as well. So you see our current numbers in this one. Dynamo Dos, another one of those sides currently on the fringes of the top 8, who could vault into a playoff spot if they win that game and other results go their way. Komet. Nieves returning it to Komet, whose ball into the middle was cut out by Habibullah. And he spoons it toward the run of Goumballe. That was intercepted by Bacharak. Shashua. Shashua trying to serve it into the area toward a dangerous spot. That was poked away by Klein. Shashua again seeing a lot of the ball lately. Like he was being tugged a bit by Shane Donovan. Now Komet. Thought about shooting, lays it off instead, and Randall's cross cut out. It will be another corner. Fourth corner of the first half for the Loons as they try to pull one back. This lengthy stoppage time, which is mostly due to that injury to Mason Visconti just 3 minutes in. Outswinging corner into a good area, and there is a goal back for Minnesota United. Exactly what they needed before halftime. They are right back in it. It's 2-1.
Minnesota goal scored by number 24, Hugo Bacharak.
Set pieces, set pieces, set pieces. Hugo Bacharak rising above everybody in that crowded area. And that top 10 pick in the Super Draft this year shows you why. So now it'll be Sporting KC's turn to be annoyed. As after taking that lead with those 2 rapid-fire goals earlier in the half, they've been in a really strong and somewhat comfortable position for the most part since. Had a couple opportunities to add to that lead. Conceding a goal directly from a corner kick. They try to get it right back though. Still plenty of time left in first half stoppage. Over 5 minutes remaining of it. That free kick given away. And a yellow card being shown as well, I think for dissent. It was the reaction after the foul. Sebastian Cruz it was who commits this foul on Bacharak, and then he was upset, and you can see his reaction, and that's the reason for the card. So again, are you not entertained? We promised you goals at the start of this day. Well, we didn't promise you, but we heavily implied that it was quite possible based on these two sides' track records this year, based on their two prior meetings. It is living up to that. 12 goals between them in the two prior games, 3 so far in this first half, and still time for more. This is into the box, trying to pick out the run of Enrique Nieves. It'll be an attacking throw for Minnesota United. That's not a good dribble, though. Showed way too much of the ball to Avila, and that allows SKC to gallop on the counter. This is 3-on-2. Ball a little bit behind Shane Donovan. Donovan now chopping it back onto his left. Donovan losing his footing and losing the ball as well. Well, it was a big chance for SKC too, and now they're a little stretched. And here goes Masanvi. This is why these two teams are so fun to watch. It's a track meet. It's Shashua lining it up, curling it backside. Comes back to Shashua now. Thought about trying again. And that's a shame for Minnesota United. Unforced slight mistake there. You understand wanting to play that ball into space by the corner, just a bit too much on it. We'll try to set up the press now with about 3 minutes of stoppage time remaining in this first half. They do win it back indeed with Padelford. Back to the attack then with Nieves and Masanvi. At the top of the area. Kept alive there by Martinez. Nobody home on the penalty spot except a man in light blue. And the whistle goes. There's a free kick for Minnesota United too. They get on with it quickly. Darius Randall dancing one-on-one, serving it over everyone's head, and it is kept in play acrobatically by Shashua. Did not appear that he would, and Shashua muscles toward the end line and crosses it in, chested down and hit on the half volley. Not struck as well as he would have liked by Anthony Marcanic. No foul there. 2 minutes of stoppage time left. Now the play is pulled back. And it will be a free kick now. So the referee initially was playing advantage, Jose Lara. Now pulls it back for this late set piece, which Rory O'Driscoll is ready to take. There'll be some turnaround if Minnesota United leveled this match before halftime. They've pulled one back already, and O'Driscoll serving it back post. Headed back in O'Driscoll's direction. Curling it wide for Bacharach, their goal scorer. And now Randall trying to cut it back. It's blocked out. Corner for Minnesota United in the dying moments of this opening half. Remember, they need all 3 points today, which means they have to win this game in regulation to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. So they have to go for it over the rest of this game. Just generally not too dissimilar from their style anyhow. So in the final minute of stoppage time, this outswinging corner toward the top of the 6-yard box, and it falls for a right-footed strike that hit his own player, Darius Randall. I think that was on target. There wasn't a ton behind it, so I'm not sure if it would have slipped past Molinaro. But they would have liked to have found out, Minnesota United. This is a great first touch by Nieves. And Nieves to the end line. His cross toward the back post. Into the mix it goes. It's 2-2. Incredible. Minnesota United 2-0 down. Looked dead and buried for most of the first half. They've rallied back with 2 late ones. And before halftime, they are indeed level. What a game. Living up to the billing once again. 2-2. And which of them got that final touch? I think they were both claiming it, but it appeared that it was Aiden Martinez. I think it's his goal. And if he hadn't touched it in, Anthony Marcanic would have. It is being given to Martinez. And there is the halftime whistle. So a remarkable turnaround in the final minutes of that half. You see the slumped shoulders from Sporting KC2 as they walk off the pitch. They were very comfortable for most of that half, following goals in the 20th from Habibullah and in the 23rd by Goumballe. But the two late goals, first from Bacharak, then from Martinez, and it's all to play for in the second half. In just a moment, our score at halftime, 2-2. Coming up, we take another trip to the coach's corner after this timeout.
Toda mi gente lo siente, 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 toda mi gente caliente, toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena, en la fadera suena, el techo se me llena, toda mi gente lo siente.
Action.
Vamos, dale pues, vamos allá, muévete más loco como solo tú lo sabes. Así es, pon la mano en la cabeza, sacúdete, 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 mira, sacúdete. Listen up, all eyes on me, I'll show you who you wanna be. Yeah, yeah, hey. Oh, wow, wow, wow. It's going down, down. You don't want to miss that. It's the new sound. It's the new sound. It's the new sound.
Welcome back. A storming first half at Mercy Victory Field at Swope Park Village here in Kansas City. 2 each between Sporting KC2 and Minnesota United FC2. Well, Whitecaps FC2 are looking to make the MLS NEXT Pro playoffs for the first time ever. Michel Montaigne caught up with the head coach, former MLS great Ricardo Clark, in the latest edition of Coach's Corner.
What's up, guys? We're back for another edition of Coach's Corner, this time in Vancouver, Canada, with head coach of Whitecaps FC2, Ricardo Clark. Rico, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Second full year as the head coach of this club. What has been the biggest lesson that you learned from year number one that you've used here in year number two?
Yeah, I'd say a big lesson is just learning how to manage the second team environment in general, right? Obviously as a coach, you're naturally turning into a leader, and then you're managing your staff, you're managing players, but within the dynamic of a second team, you're managing up and below, if you get what I say. So, so many different unpredictable factors with the second team. So with all that, you try to, get as organized as you can going into the season, but also just be ready to adapt week to week, but even day to day, right? And integration is something we've sort of tried to evolve within the club and in the second team environment. And with that becomes a lot of unpredictability, right? Yeah, I say within that, just growing in that role and growing in the development space and managing all that to make sure we're getting the most out of the players, I'd say is an area of growth for me through this year after learning from last year.
When it comes to the postseason specifically, you guys are once again kind of hovering right there around that playoff line. What did you learn from last year that you can use to change your playoff fate for this season?
Surprisingly, I think this year we've actually, I'd say, put less focus on making the postseason. I think how we approached, or at least the mindset we tried to approach this year with, especially with instilling it amongst the players, is to just focus on the day-to-day, right? Focus on the day-to-day, how you're maximizing the opportunity, whether you're with the second team, whether you're a second team player with the second team player with the first team for the day, whether you're an academy player in with the second team or even first team, just making sure whatever comes about for the day, you're maximizing it, taking advantage of the opportunity and looking to become better within that moment, right, within that day. And then obviously, you know, you progress throughout the week, and on the match day -1, the match day, you know, okay, then it's about in the second team environment, how are we gathering as much information as possible, then contributing it to the game, to perform individually, to help the collective, right, to hopefully have a good performance, and then hopefully the result takes care of itself. I would say with that, the group has done well to sort of take on that mindset, and we found ourselves with 4 games left in the season and right in the playoff hunt. So what we've done, we've kind of corralled the group together, especially the leaders amongst the group, the more experienced players, and asked them what they want. Over these last 5 games, you know, they said they really want to compete to make the playoffs. Okay, so we've set our objectives for the end of the season. We really are taking the approach of having a playoff mindset and making the playoffs this season, and you know, now it's about the action steps within that to hopefully make that happen for the players.
As a former player yourself, I'd imagine a lot of that mindset comes from your experience of going through match day -1, match day, you know, having to deal with the ups and downs of the season. What do you find yourself using most from your playing days now as a coach?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, but one thing in particular is sort of having that feeling or empathy for what the player is feeling in the moment, right? To hopefully get them to respond or to motivate them, right? I know players respond to different things, different people, but I think I try to leverage, you know, me being in their shoes at one point, whether it's just for a match day, whether it's just for their general careers and motivating them to hopefully have a sustainable and long career. But I think, again, like I said, just being in their shoes, finding ways and methods for them to respond, to hopefully have them perform for the short term and the long term. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. You touched on the uniqueness of being the head coach of this kind of intermediary level. With that in mind, how do you define success for the club this year? I know you talked about the playoff mindset, but in general, how do you define success?
Yeah, I define success by, I would say, first of all, developing as many players as possible and helping them reach their full potential, right? With that, you know, there's objectives there, right? How many players can we prepare and develop to make sure they're ready for a first team level, right? Obviously it can get better, but I think in regards to a decent amount of players, I feel like some players have reached that level to this part of the season. Obviously, only so many players can make it. So then it's, okay, if it's not here, how we prepared them for maybe another first team environment, right, elsewhere, so that, again, so they can hopefully have a sustainable and long career to keep going about fulfilling their passion.
A long career like this guy had. For you specifically, been in Canada 4 years technically. What has been the most surprising thing to you living in a country where you never lived before joining the staff here?
Yeah, so that's another good question. I would say on the soccer side, I've learned a lot just in regards to just the environment, the Canadian environment, the player pool, especially in Vancouver, sort of trying to navigate through that environment, if you want to say, and the dynamics within that. I think we've tried to provide as many platforms, high-level platforms for these players to develop in and get challenged in, which is, like I said, a different dynamic than maybe in the U.S. So we want to move towards providing those opportunities for those players the best we can, right? And I think we've made strides with that. Off the pitch, I would say Man, I need to go on more hikes, right? Vancouver is a beautiful place. You know, there's so much to do outdoors, especially in the summertime. Beautiful climate, beautiful scenery, and it's definitely on my bucket list to really go on a proper hike. I just haven't made the time yet, but everybody gives me crap for not getting out as much as I should. But food is great. Great cafes, great restaurants, great people. So, you know, my family has adapted, my kids have adapted, coming from Houston, Texas, right? So they're bought into, you know, Dad, we go over wherever Dad wants you know, so he can fulfill his passion and his dream and his job, right? So
That's awesome. How does it feel to have that support?
yeah, it feels awesome. It feels awesome. They're sort of used to it,
Yeah.
I want to say, through my playing career and now
Yeah.
my coaching career. So I'm happy to have that support and adaptability that the family is able to provide.
Well, we're happy to have you in this league. Rico, thank you so much for the time today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That does it for this edition of Coach's Corner. Best of luck to the Whitecaps FC2 as they try to make it to the playoffs this year.
Toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente lo siente, y toda mi gente lo siente, toda mi gente caliente, toda mi gente lo siente. Toda mi gente suena, en la favela suena, el techo se me llena, toda mi gente lo siente.
Action.
All right, MLS store, I need something fresh and clean. Let's see what you got. I need that in my size. I like this. Cream on cream. The fit is cold. Ice cream. You like that?
Halftime here at Mercy Victory Field at Swope Park Village in the Kansas City area. 2-2 Sporting KC2 and Minnesota United FC2. Let's check out our upcoming schedule from around MLS Next Pro. These two sides, everybody closing in on the end of the regular season. On Saturday, it was Chattanooga FC earning a second point on penalties against New England Revolution 2. Whitecaps FC a crucial 3-1 victory over Tacoma Defiance. Tomorrow, Union 2, NYCFC 2, Orlando City B taking on Chicago Fire 2, LAFC 2, and Real Monarchs, and then Atlanta United and Minnesota United on Tuesday. Short turnaround for the Loons. So these playoff races coming down to the wire. Let's look at halftime highlights. The opening goal arrived in the 20th minute from this free kick by Cameron Habibullah, his team leading 11th goal of the year. He had some questions maybe to be asked to that Minnesota United wall. Could they have been positioned over a bit more? But Habibullah took advantage of what was given to him, and just 3 minutes later, they doubled that lead. Avila with a terrific through ball, and Maloon Goumballe doing the rest. Terrific feint, round of the keeper, and finish. It was 2-0 SKC2, and they appeared to be cruising, but not so fast. Back came the Loons late in the first half. This header from Hugo Bacharach pulled them back to within one. And then in first half stoppage time, and there was a lot of it, of course, this stand up to the back post, Bacharach across the face, and turned in by Aiden Martinez. So Hugo Bacharach with a goal and an assist to help drag his side right back into this one. And so our first half stats see 9 shots for Minnesota United, 7 for Sporting KC2, 4-3 the numbers on target. A lot of blocked shots too in that mix. 5 corners for the Loons, and they made the last couple of corners pay for them. That second goal came at the tail end of a corner sequence, extended. 13 fouls for Sporting KC2. They have 2 players, make that 3 players in the book, Avila, Donovan, and Cruz. See the passing accuracy even at 82% each. with 11 on 11 so far. But again, SKC with those 3 players on a yellow. Devin Padelford, the player who was cautioned for Minnesota United. Pretty fascinating second half then. Just to reset the stakes here, Sporting KC 2. Any point here would take them back into the playoff places. It would take them back into 8th place, since they came into play a point behind Timbers 2 for that 8th spot. And they have 9 wins on the season, Timbers 2 with just 7, and wins is the primary tiebreaker. Goal differential is the second tiebreaker. But Sporting KC 2, as we talked about in the Open, they certainly want to take all 3 points today because, well, 1, that's what you want to do every game, of course. But their last 2 games, although they are at home, they have North Texas SC coming to town next. And, of course, North Texas topping the table in the Western Conference and overall with 54 points so far this season. And then they wrap up at home against LAFC2, who are in 3rd place in the Western Conference. So 2 very difficult matchups. Of course, 2 teams they are capable of beating on their day, but still it's a tough schedule over those last 2 weeks. So they will want to bank as many points as possible from this one. And for Minnesota United, meanwhile, as we've discussed, anything less than a regulation win today, anything less than taking all 3 points from this one, would see them officially eliminated from playoff contention. And when they fell behind by 2-0, it certainly looked like they were heading for elimination, but they still have every chance now of pulling out a regulation win. They can continue their good play from that tail end of the first half into half number 2. They will kick things back off wearing their black tops and bottoms as the away side here today. Sporting KC in the powder blue with the navy blue hoops. It'll be Minnesota United then from left to right in this second half. And Sporting KC 2 switching to right to left. No substitutions at halftime. We continue with the same 11s that began this match. I should check that. Of course, Mason Visconti had to leave the match very early with that unfortunate injury. We are back in motion here in Kansas City. So no further changes at halftime, I should say. I'm Donnie Barnes. It has been a thoroughly entertaining first 45 plus. Expect more of the same here in the second half as we head for the home stretch in this MLS NEXT Pro regular season. Jose Lara, our center referee. The 2 goals for Sporting KC 2 in the 20th and 23rd minutes from Habibullah and Goumballe. Minnesota United leveling late on in the 4th and 10th minutes of stoppage time. Bacharach with the goal and then setting up Martinez for the second. And it's the Loons who go on the attack here, looking for their first lead of the evening. On that left side, Musanvi checks back up and pulls it back. SKC2 able to dispossess, and they look to break the other direction. Both these teams have been so open at times on the counterattack. Goumballe tries to rake it across the middle. That came off Bacharach. Bacharach has to play that and just puts it into touch. Sebastian Cruz, who came on for Mason Visconti after that early injury. Now turning it down the line, Danny Flores by that corner flag going one-on-one with Komet. Touched away by the Loons, though, into the path of Randall, who then releases Sam Shashua. And Shashua touched away then by Nieves. He goes over, clutching his shin. This ball all the way back to Alex Smur. That second goal for Minnesota United, by the way, has been confirmed, we're told, down on the field by the referee as being Aiden Martinez's goal. The online box score right now shows Anthony Marcanic being credited for it, but we are being told definitively that is Aiden Martinez who got the final touch. Aiden Martinez, by the way, just 17 years old. He scored his first professional goal back in July The guy that Jeremy Hall, their head coach, who you can see at the bottom of your screen there, was raving about this week. He was raving about Martinez's feet, how good he is with his feet, how he's able to dribble past defenders. He used his head there just before halftime to nod the Loons level. That went a little bit too high for Randall. Sporting KC throw. Interesting spot for Sporting KC too now. They were in such a strong position for so much of that first half. Both at 2-0 and at 2-1, they had some good opportunities to score a third. Found themselves pegged back rather demoralizingly before half. Their body language coming off the field at halftime didn't look great. So can they pick themselves back up for this second half? Also, as we discussed, losing their teammate Mason Visconti so early in that first half. It took them a few minutes after that long injury and the resumption of play for them to get into a rhythm in this match, but then they struck for those two quick goals in the 20th and 23rd. And what has been a year with lots of individual progress, but not a lot of collective victories for Minnesota United. You wondered what they would have in response, but we certainly found out. And Minnesota United with some good results in recent weeks, growing in confidence, but they turned this one over. And here's Habibullah. Habibullah trying to serve it into the path of Meji Alexandre, but that did not work out, and here come the Loons. 3-on-3 at the back here. Light blue shirts racing back. This ball is switched out to the right side now for Nieves, who cuts inside. And then it's Randall. Komet. Randall once more. Darius Randall has scored twice this year. He's been looking especially good in recent weeks, Jeremy Hall said. He's been dangerous and lively. Minnesota United throw. About 5.5 minutes into this second half. Here at Children's Mercy Victory Field at Swope Soccer Village. Still 1-0 to Houston Dynamo 2. As they lead Colorado Rapids 2. Again, Dynamo Dos, another club that's very much in the mix for one of those final playoff places, even though they started the day in 11th place, but just 2 points below that playoff line. 8th place currently occupied by Timbers 2. Whitecaps 2, a point above on 36. Timbers 2 on 35, and then it's Sporting KC with 34. Austin FC 2 also on 34. Dynamo Dos on 33. As this bounces all the way through to Molinaro. Real Monarchs still in the race. They're on 31 points, so 4 points out of that last playoff spot. Running out of time, but still afloat. Minnesota United, as mentioned, still technically alive. 9 points out of that last spot with 3 to go at the start of the day. That's why they have to take all 3 points today to have any chance. They have a free kick here. Colorado Rapids 2 eliminated last week in that loss to Sporting KC 2. They're on the bottom of that Western Conference table in 14th place. And here comes Bacharach. What a game he's having. And Randall tracks this down and keeps it in play. And Randall crossing it to the backside. Bacharach after it, but it's out for a goal kick. Minnesota United, though, for the most part, continuing that momentum from late in the first half at the start of this second period. Enjoying the majority of the pressure territorial possession, but Sporting KC2 still look dangerous whenever they break. This falls from Masanvi. Nieves, Masanvi, good interplay. Masanvi goes on, being harassed by Carson Klein. And now a stride and a hit from distance. Struck pretty well by Komet. Molinaro behind it. Well, Komet able to step into this one as much as he wanted. Not the cleanest take by Molinaro, but had his body in a good position. Jacob Molinaro, Benny Feilhaber spoke about him this week, saying he's one of our young goalkeepers from our academy. And we have high aspirations for him, and we want to give him these opportunities so that he can grow and feel what the pressure is like and understand how to learn from mistakes. So this is another free kick for Minnesota United. Chance to cross in from the left, clipped up top. And Komet nods it right side, and Randall whistles it all the way across. Still alive on the edge of the area for the Loons. Little scooped ball was creative, and then the layoff was great, and then the shot was blocked. Terrific sequence from Minnesota United. And now the foul given against Sporting KC for a shirt pull. Beto Avila frustrated by that. And home side about to make a change. Not happening yet. Apparently will come at the next whistle. So wait to confirm that Sporting KC change when they make it at the next stoppage. 10 minutes into this second half. Long switch to the right, a bit too far for Randall. Meji Alexandre, we're told, is going to come off. That substitution will take place now. And there is confirmation on the board. It's Nadi Clark from Ethiopia that has come up through the Sporting KC Academy, who replaces Meji Alexandre, who scored that stoppage time winner last week. Played all 90 minutes at elevation against Rapids 2. This portion of the match is brought to you by Central Bank, official jersey front partner of SKC2 and community banking partner of Sporting KC. And here goes Goumballe. Goumballe trying to lay it off right side, put far too much on it. Now the referee blows the whistle because the flag is up for offside anyhow. So Goumballe, who scored that goal, as you see in the 23rd minute, that puts Sporting KC ahead by 2. Only to see Bacharach and Martinez pull those 2 goals back, both in first half stoppage time. So Habibullah and Goumballe now with 11 and 10 on the year for SKC, but they're going to need more today if they're to take all 3 points in regulation. And if you're new to MLS Next Pro, if it's tied at the end of 90 minutes, games do not just end in ties in MLS Next Pro. You go to a penalty shootout, both teams would be assured of 1 point if it's tied after 90. If you win the shootout, you gain a 2nd point. The only way to get all 3 points is to win in regulation. Especially this time of the year with teams battling for playoff spots, those rules become especially critical and consequential. Scramble for this ball, and Habibullah wins it. Beto Avila, who was great in the first half, he's been quiet so far since the break. Nadi Clark just on. It's the best little sequence they've had in this second half, SKC. Here goes Shane Donovan. Sebastian Cruz then. Leo Cristiano. Buffalo, New York native. Another guy who's come up through the SKC Academy. Hit long over the top, but just a bit too far for Avila, who liked the idea. Saw him immediately put that thumb up. See the possession now in Minnesota United's favor. SKC had that advantage in possession for much of the first half. What a spin and sprint this is by Masanvi. Now he cuts inside and looked defeated on the right side for Randall, but didn't get the angle correct, and it was cut out by Donovan. And now a collision by that midfield stripe leads to a free kick for the home team, which Goumballe puts back in motion right away and then goes galloping down that left side. He wanted it quickly from Donovan. Now he gets it. His momentum was gone, though. Donovan, neat feet initially, and then the ball ricocheted up off his hand, and a free kick for Minnesota United, and then he kicked the ball away and is shown a yellow card for that. And that's his second yellow, I believe. Yeah, that is a second yellow and a red, and that is really a poor way to see yourself off the pitch. Shane Donovan shown the second yellow, and Sporting KC2 are down to 10 in the 59th minute. Being told it's officially for dissent. So let's see here. Initially it's great feet, then the ball comes up off his hand. Okay, that's the foul. Then he kicks the ball away. And referee Jose Lara took a dim view of that. See him motioning. Yeah, you kicked the ball over there. Well, it's been interesting in recent weeks. We've seen this in various leagues around the world with referees really strongly enforcing those, whether you want to call them dissent or delay of game, time wasting, whatever classification you want to make of it. Players kicking the ball away after a foul, very harshly punished in multiple high-profile leagues and high-profile games around the world in recent weeks, leading to a lot of debate in various circles. But SKC2 down to 10, but on the attack here and threading one through. Player tumbles over. Referee waves the appeals away and now gives the free kick in Minnesota United's direction, and then says you have to take that again because the ball was still rolling. So the frantic nature and the chaos just continues to increase. The rain is falling now as well, as we see Avila appear to go over without too much actual contact. I think he just tripped over his own feet or over the ball. We are past the hour mark. You see the rain really coming down now. And so Minnesota United, can they capitalize on this man advantage? Way out of his area comes Jacob Molinaro. Boots that away. Referee stops play and substitutions are going to occur. It'll be a double change for Minnesota United. Britton Fisher is coming on, and so is Will Schmidt. Matoush Komet, one of the players removed. And Rory O'Driscoll is the other who comes off. Britton Fisher, a 20-year-old. Was acquired from North Carolina FC a couple of years ago. Second season in the Loons system. Will Schmidt, 17 years old, member of the Sporting KC Academy. I should say of the Minnesota United Academy, excuse me. Sporting KC, who led by 2 for much of the first half. Minnesota United, the 2 late goals before halftime. No scoring yet since the break, but the second yellow and the red shown to Shane Donovan a few minutes ago. Further complicating the picture in this one. Now on the edge of the area. And this is Randall. Randall trying to get to the end line, but stood up and denied. Good tackle by Leo Cristiano at the expense of a corner for Minnesota United. And they were dangerous from these in the first half. Scored their first goal to get back into it, remember, directly from a corner when Hugo Bacharach rose over everyone to head it home. Sam Shashua will take this one. And takes it into the middle. What a save! Touched over the bar by Jacob Molinaro. Instinctive, reactive, reflex, fingertip stop to keep this at 2-2. Oh, he had to have thought he scored there when that left his head. Terrific save from Molinaro. Back in it comes, looped over the bar and onto the roof of the net. That was Bacharach again. SKC2 continue to struggle to defend these corners, but they survived that sequence. This portion of the match brought to you by Children's Mercy Hospital of Kansas City, official healthcare partner of Sporting KC. The roll by Aiden Martinez, really good. Trying to dance into the middle. It comes back to Martinez. And now it's Nieves. Nieves uses his strength very well. Nieves chops onto his left. Nieves on frame, but Molinaro again in the right place. Very good work at close range by Nieves. Goes right between the feet of Chris Rindov. See the conditions quickly becoming very damp here as the rain continues to come down. Referee has stopped play. Hugo Bacharach wasn't sure why. It was a free kick apparently for Minnesota United, as they continue to search for that go-ahead goal. Trying to turn what was a 2-0 deficit into an advantage. It's Masanvi crowded out on the edge of the area. Sporting KC increasingly having to drop deep as they're down a man. Masanvi persisting after it and wins it back, and now Randall. Randall to the end line. Back to his left. Pulls it back. Masanvi scuffed it first time. Comes through to Martinez, who didn't get a hold of it cleanly either. Did put it on target, but there was Molinaro again, who's becoming an increasingly central figure in this second half. More very good attacking play. They just couldn't make a clean connection with it in the end. It was actually a decently creative finish attempt by Martinez when you see it back. Hit it with the outside of his right foot. That was about all he could do from where his body was. Not enough to beat Molinaro, though. He tries again from range, and Molinaro again touches it over the bar and continues to put on a show and keep this game level at 2. What a hit this is from Martinez. Watch this, right out of his feet. Bang, on frame, headed for that left side netting until Molinaro intervened once more. Well, you see the scoring recap from the first half, and we could have had a couple more in this second half. Not for Molinaro. In comes the corner. Near post, flicks off 2 Loons' heads. Again, they win the first ball, and technically the second there. Again, Sporting KC get away with it. Well, a chance for Sporting KC2 to catch their breath here and try to regroup. They have been under extreme pressure, especially since that red card about 10 minutes ago. This is the 3rd edition, or it will be the 3rd edition, of the MLS Next Pro playoffs, coming up in just a few weeks, of course. It will again showcase this innovative pick your opponent format that was so exciting last year. That returns for 2024. More on that shortly, as here come the Loons again, and this is put across the end line. This will be another corner for Minnesota United. It'll be swung in by Shashua, whose deliveries have been great today. Top of the 6-yard box, heads go up again, and it crawls just wide. Once again, Minnesota United winning balls in the box. Once again, Sporting KC2 struggling to defend these corners. And I think that again came off 2 different Loons initially, and then it was scrambled wide by Britton Fisher, who just came on a few minutes ago. As we enter the final quarter of this match, final quarter of regulation. Remind you, Minnesota United have to take all 3 points, have to win in regulation to keep their very faint playoff hopes alive. They give away a free kick here. Going back to that pick your opponent format, that returns for the Next Pro playoffs this year. With the top 8 teams in each conference advancing to the postseason, the top 4 seeded teams in each conference get to select their opponents. So it's not just a straight first plays 8th, second plays 7th, third plays 6th, etc. Nope, the top 4 get to choose. So add some extra spice, extra intrigue. Of course, you can imagine the team that gets picked first as the first team that the first place finisher wants to play in that opening round. Likely have a significant chip on their shoulder about that, so just makes it all the more spicy. Those playoffs starting in a few weeks. This is into the area as SKC2 trying to take the lead with 10. It's blocked out. It'll be a corner. That came off Hugo Bacharach, who was initially stunned by it, it appeared, but gets right back to his feet. This came out of not a lot for SKC. Habibullah touching it on. That was Avila who took it first time. First corner of the second half for SKC2. Had been under pressure for quite a while. They've been able to hang on and hang around thanks to Jacob Molinaro. Now looking to take the lead back. Swung out near post. Still alive by that end line. Recycled back to the corner. And then swung on and missed there, and nothing further. It's a goal kick. Minnesota United playing it out of the back in silky fashion. So we head for the final 20 minutes of the 90. Britton Fisher. Hugo Bacharach. Switching it to the left side. Sam Shashua. Inside from Asanvi. Then Fisher. Fisher puts it across and grabbed by Molinaro. This portion of the match brought to you by Price Chopper, official grocery partner of Sporting KC. Trying to create an attack by himself was Goumballe. Whistle goes against him. Still 1-0 in favor of Dynamo Dos as they lead Colorado Rapids 2 in the 75th minute. This is Aiden Martinez now in a pocket of space. Faked the shot, played it on for Nieves, who tried to return it to Martinez and didn't get enough on it. Taken back by Fisher, who protected it from Habibullah. Moses Nyman. Intercepted by SKC2, and that's nifty footwork by Avila. It falls for Cruz, who plays it further for Habibullah, but he was flanked by 2 defenders. And of course, the disadvantage of playing with 10, you're almost always going to be outnumbered, especially in the attack. And here's a long raking ball for Randall. Randall, and in the way was Chris Rindove. And a corner coming up for Minnesota United 2. We've talked about it quite a bit. SKC2 struggling mightily from these corners in this game. Conceded from one, fortunate not to concede from a couple others. Sam Shashua has had a lot to do with that, as he has dropped balls into that danger zone time and time again. This one in low. Britton Fisher couldn't make a clean connection. Recycles it to Shashua, cuts in on his left, and strikes, and it's deflected wide and out. Another corner coming up. Carson Klein was in the way there. Sam Shashua continues to get a workout jogging from one corner flag to the other. Referee Jose Lara now will stop play and intervene in a slight tussle between Hugo Bacharach and somebody in light blue. So Shashua in again. Head's going up now. Hit with the left foot, still loose in front. It was blocked, and it comes down for Randall. It was Bacharach again, and Randall crosses all the way through to the far side. Shashua scoops it into the area once more. Falls for a right-handed hit by Britton Fisher, and that scrambles off a body and wide. Another corner coming up. It was Danny Flores who had it ricochet off his left foot, I think. Sporting KC, too, continue to be extremely fortunate with the deflections here in this second half. See the possession now more and more in favor of Minnesota United, and so are the shots. Expected goals now in their favor as well, but 2-2 on the score sheet, and that's the first corner in this second half, I think, where SKC2 have won that initial ball. Now they look to counter. Minnesota United, too, a little bit stretched. Over the top for Avila, who couldn't take it in stride, and it's cut out crucially by Aiden Martinez, who starts it the other direction. And it's lobbed over the top for Shashua, who's in. Shashua scores! On the counterattack, the Loons lead for the first time today. 2-0 down in the first half. A game they have to win in regulation, and they are winning with 15 minutes to play. It's 3-2. One moment SKC2 were on the counter, then they weren't. Martinez cut it out. The clip over the top, far too simple from Sporting KC's standpoint, but what a good finish. Rocketed off the underside of the crossbar and in by Sam Shashua, whose corner deliveries have been great. He had the assist on their first goal when he put it right on Bacharach's head. That got them back in it in first half stoppage time, and now he's given them the lead with 15 minutes to go. So a stunning turnaround for Minnesota United. Another incredible game between these two teams. Sporting KC on the winning end of the first two meetings this year. 4-1 back on April 28th, then 4-3 with a late comeback and a late winner on June 2nd. This time they raced into a 2-0 advantage. Looked like they were going to make it 3 wins from 3. Now they have to rally with a man deficit and a goal deficit as well. And they go right to the attack, left side, and spread it across, but too much slice on that cross from Sebastian Cruz, out of everyone's reach. And a goal kick. Well, now it becomes a different challenge for Minnesota United after they spent the whole match in attack mode, knowing they have to win in 90. Now can they see a game and a win out over the final 14? Martinez, who's been really critical to their comeback, continues to be a central figure, both literally and metaphorically. Here's Randall. And then Shashua, I think, wanted to have a shot there. Why not, after that goal a moment ago? Ran away from him this time. Avila's had to drop deeper and deeper in this second half, which is not really where he'd like to be most of the time. Here they come again. Shashua onto his right foot and strikes again. It took a double deflection off 2 SKC defenders. And now they counter, and again it's Minnesota United who are opened up. Probably more than they should be when they're up a man. Here's Cruz, edge of the box, trying to play in Habibullah, stabbed away just before it reached him. Cycled by Avila. On the right side, Clark's cross finds Habibullah. Can he produce some magic? Came off of Cruz. shielded by Fisher. Back for Smur, who clears. Good climb by Rindov to win that header, but only to Randall. Rides the challenge from Cruz very well. Sebastian Cruz came on at the left back spot early in the first half. He's essentially playing as a forward now, and around the back, it's a great ball in, and out to smother it Molinaro, or at least block it out. It'll be a throw. Another excellent through ball from Minnesota United. We've seen a bunch of them on both sides in this game. Perfectly timed. He's onside, Enrique Nieves. Molinaro had to come out and cut down the angle and make that save. He keeps SKC in it for now. Nieves. Shashua. Ooh, Martinez trying to one-touch it into Nieves' run. Clark was just in the way. Minnesota United, they are certainly not sitting on this lead, and they continue to look a little bit vulnerable every time SKC do win the ball back, but that's not happening too often. With Minnesota United enjoying that man advantage. Five goals between them in their first meeting, 7 goals in their second, 5 so far today. Two sides who have both conceded more goals than anybody else in the league, except for Rapids too. Bacharach. And that's clipped in the direction of Masanvi, but Molinaro comes out. SKC2 almost onto that one with Goumballe, who's had very little to feast on in this second half. This would be such a disappointing result for Sporting KC2 if it holds, if they can't rally over these final 10 minutes, which we are into now. A free kick for the home side. Knowing that even just 1 point would take them back above the playoff line into 8th place. But they started the day so intent on winning all 3, knowing they have North Texas SC coming to town next week and then LAFC for the final match of the regular season. These will be 2 very difficult games, playing a team that was second from bottom in the table. Well, they knew Minnesota United have been improving lately. So it's not that they were expecting an easy game, but this was a game that, especially when they raced into that 2-0 lead in the 20th and 23rd minutes, they would have felt themselves in a very strong position, and they were. And they had chances to make it 3-0 and then 3-1. Didn't take them, got pegged back again before halftime, then took the early red card in the second half. Been under significant pressure since, finally buckled and allowed that go-ahead goal. It has been a stunning turnaround. 2 subs ready to come in for Minnesota United. Ferris and Schmidt both coming on. And Sam Shashua, who has helped turn this game around for Minnesota United. There have been several who have been key to that, but Shashua right now has the winning goal. And Devin Padelford also comes off. Meanwhile, Johan Ortiz has come on for Sebastian Cruz for Sporting KC. Free kick for Sporting KC. Not the kind of thing you want to give away if you're Minnesota United. Anytime a team's playing down a man, of course, those attacking set pieces become especially precious. Sometimes that's the main way you can create opportunities when you're playing down a player. And Ortiz just on the pitch is going to take this free kick. The guy who's been in their academy since the U12 level. He's played through every age level of their academy. And swings this in. It's a good ball. It's knotted back to the top of the area. Carson Klein scoops it into the mix again. Out comes the keeper. It's punched by Smur. Got a clean fist to it. Did well under some pressure there. First time we've seen Minnesota United forced to sit back and defend a bit in quite a while. Habibullah, it was just behind him. There is still time for Sporting KC. But that is growing increasingly short, and Martinez feeds Randall. Minnesota United not in such a hurry now. And if they could scramble a late equalizer, Sporting KC, they could at least guarantee themselves of a point today, and then still try for a second in the subsequent shootout. So there is still time for them to make it a positive day, but they will be very disappointed with the way they've let this situation devolve after taking that 2-0 lead midway through the first half. Jacob Molinaro, who, if they don't turn this around, it won't be his fault. He made some sensational saves, especially in this second half when it was 2-2, to keep them in it for a long time. Made another good save at 3-2 a few minutes ago, remember, that has kept them within one. Giving them still at least a chance to create a dramatic finish. Nice ball down this right side. That long switch, Natty Clark racing after it. Was he tripped? Yes, he was. It's a free kick, and it's going to be a yellow card. Martinez guilty of the contact. Dangerous attacking set piece coming up for SKC2. Comes from the wonderful long switch of play. That was hit by Danny Flores. Terrific ball. And it sets up this dangerous situation. That was Ferris, excuse me, who was shown the yellow card. So Anderson Ferris just on a couple minutes ago. Academy player for the U17s for Minnesota United. So can SKC2 punch back in the 86th minute? Free kick with the left toward goal, but thumped away by the towering figure of Hugo Bacharach. It was his header that got them back in it in first half stoppage time and made it 2-1. And then he was the provider with a header back across the face of goal from the back post in that final minute of first half stoppage time that got them level just before the whistle. Now they want to put it away, and they have runners off the ball, and Randall's one of them, and he's on it now. Randall cuts it back, arriving late and struck against a body. Enrique Nieves with a well-timed arrival to strike that, but defender in the way. SKC2 still afloat with 3.5 minutes to go. Fisher deflecting it off of Cristiano. Neat reverse ball for Martinez. And he wins the free kick. Frustrated, tired foul from Cameron Habibullah, who goes into the book as well. Cameron Habibullah gave them the lead in the 20th minute with that well-taken free kick. Been a frustrating second half for him, I'm sure. Playing down a man hard on everybody, but especially those attacking players. who find themselves with less and less to work with in most cases. And that's been the case for Habibullah in this second half. And that header not the best, and it's given the opportunity to the Loons, but the flag is up for offside. And some confusion there as they asked, didn't that come off the defender? But apparently the offside flag was raised before that headed contact by Natty Clark, so it wouldn't have mattered. Good footwork, Martinez. Here's Randall again. Randall cuts inside. Randall scores! And that should do it for the Loons. They love the rain. They complete their comeback and salt away the 3 points. It should keep their playoff hopes narrowly alive. It's going to be a terrific victory either way. And Randall, the MLS Next Pro All-Star, finishes deftly with the outside of his right foot. Nothing Molinaro could do, and not much SKC can do now. 4-2. What a performance by Minnesota United since falling behind by 2 goals in the first half. Certainly the red card helped them in the second half. There you see the scoring summary. Habibullah and Goumballe seem to have put Sporting KC into a commanding position. I did say at the time that Minnesota United had the quality and the attacking power to turn that around. I'm not sure how many of us actually thought they would under the circumstances, as Sporting KC at the time were looking likelier to make it 3-0 than Minnesota United were to make it 2-1 or anything beyond that. But those goals in first half stoppage time changed everything. We're about to have 4 minutes shown at the end of this second half. Doesn't appear that that will be enough for Sporting KC2, playing with 10 since that second yellow to Shane Donovan to make a dramatic comeback. This will be a very disappointing result for them, of course, in their battle for the playoffs. They will remain outside the playoff places. They will still be in the race, very much so, over the final 2 weeks, but this will be a potentially damaging blow. And if they do miss out on that 8th or 7th position and miss out on the postseason, this will be one that they will look on with some regret. Sporting KC with a little under 3 minutes left, trying to pull one back. Edge of the area, Goumballe, Habibullah. Chance here, and it's blasted high and wide. That was a chance to set up a nervous finish for Minnesota United. But it was blazed over the bar, and it stays 4-2. It's a great ball from Habibullah, and it's a good initial touch and take by Johan Ortiz. That couldn't keep his subsequent half volley down. Two minutes of stoppage time remaining. Molinaro's ball out only to Musanvi. Will Schmidt then, as the Loons happy to keep the ball as much as possible. A year in which they'd won only 6 times, but again had been improving lately. Coach Jeremy Hall talking about how good the spirit has been, how good the attitude and application has been for his side in training every day and every week. It's still been a very positive atmosphere, and they've had a lot of individual performances and improvements that they're very proud of this season. And they were determined to finish the year well, whether that sees them in the playoffs or not. As things stand, there will still be that slim chance that they could make a miraculous late run into the postseason. It will still be extremely slim. They are not dead yet, as they would have been if they'd failed to win this in regulation. We're into the final minute of stoppage time. A couple SKC players colliding there. They appear to be all right. It's threaded through nearly for Will Schmidt. 30 seconds to go. Cristiano dispossessed. Loons can play out the final seconds now. Maybe time for one more for Nieves. And on into the path. Pulled back. Nieves onto his left. Nieves blocked by Natty Clark. There's the final whistle. What a turnaround. What a victory for Minnesota United 2. It's been a tough year for them, but a very positive result for the Loons. They storm back from 2 down in the first half. They pick up all 3 points to keep their slim playoff chances alive for now and deal a big blow to SKC2's playoff hopes. It finishes in Kansas City sensationally. Minnesota United FC 2 4, Sporting KC 2. Today's man of the match is presented by Adidas. And it was a terrific performance by Sam Shashua, who helped this comeback with a goal and an assist, and he had the winning goal. This was when it was 2-2. Look at this first touch. Out of his feet, bang, off the underside of the bar and in. That was the breakthrough with the man advantage that they'd been looking for throughout the second half. A string of saves from Jacob Molinaro had kept Sporting KC2 in it, but nothing he could have done about that. Minnesota United, with 4 unanswered goals, take the victory today in Kansas City. For our entire great production crew, I'm Donnie Barnes. Good evening from Mercy Victory Field at Swope Park Village in Kansas City, Missouri, where it finishes once again tonight. Minnesota United FC 2, Sporting KC 2. Don't forget, you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. Good evening.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.